Hello everybody, welcome back to another light novel review. Today I'm talking about volume number 4 in Tappei Nagatsuki's light novel series ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. Now in this volume, Amelia is summoned to the royal capital because there has been a new development in the race to find the successor to the throne. So herself, Roswell, and Rem head off to the capital and they allow Subaru to tag along because Amelia's made some arrangements for Subaru to receive more advanced healing after the injuries he received in the last volume, because there is sort of like the top water magician is at the capital, and of course water magic is healing magic. So she allows him to tag along to get healed. But we all know that Subaru is not just going to sit around and do nothing but chill and get healed when Amelia is in some high stakes, high stress situations. Now with this volume, things start to open up. Of course, in volume number 1, we had sort of our introduction to this world. Mainly it acted as an introduction to Subaru's powers and sort of the pitfalls of it, the whole nobody remembers you, and not only that, but you experience excruciating, terrible, horrifying death. And then of course in volumes 2 and 3 we have sort of a bigger arc, but it really focused on a very small group of characters in that very small setting of the mansion. In this one, we have our cast basically doubled. We have characters that we met in volume 1 that we haven't seen in volume number 2 or 3. We have them reintroduced. We have a whole bunch of new characters introduced, including the other participants in this whole competition to find a successor to the throne. We find out quite a bit more about sort of the history of this country and how they're going about the selection process of finding these girls and deeming whether they should be part of the competition or not. Really what this starts to do is make the story bigger. And I think that was sort of my impression of it, is that it makes it bigger. And I know I don't really spoil things, but in this one I will say that I will spoil it by saying Subaru doesn't die in this volume. Now this arc has 4 volumes as part of it. It covers volumes 4, 5, well I guess no, actually it's 5 volumes, because it's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 that it covers. So it's 5 volumes. This was the bulk of the anime. The anime, the first, I think about 11 or so episodes covered volumes 1 to 3, and then these ones were all the rest. So it's a big arc, 5 volumes long, which is more than double the longest arc to date, which was 2 books. So it kind of fits that everything is bigger. The setting is bigger. The cast of characters is bigger. The arc is going to be a lot bigger. The world building is bigger. It just makes this story feel a bit more fantasy epic-ish than what it has to this point. But the thing about this volume that I think is great for A, being a 4th volume, B, for sort of shifting gears a little bit and setting up sort of the next couple of volumes and setting up, I think, the continuation of the series in general, it does a lot to build not only this whole situation with the competition for the crown and the different people vying for it and how that leads to a whole bunch of political and potentially dangerous situations, but it also takes a look at probably one of the most central relationships in this series so far, and that is the relationship between Subaru and Amelia. And it goes in all sorts of different ways. Again, I won't spoil it, but it definitely has quite a lot of development in this book, their relationship. Subaru, in general, I'm going to be honest, I kind of found him annoying in this volume. And I think that's just because, like, he went through some pretty serious hell in the last 2 volumes, and as much as that cocky, sarcastic kind of facade of his, I thought, well, this is him just using to cover things up. In this one, it just felt a little bit too put on. I was kind of like, you know what? Now you're just being stupid. Now you're just being kind of ignorant. And what I really liked about this volume is that the author starts calling out Subaru on things, and I think is creating a situation that is really going to be an impetus for change for the character, which is something I really desperately want to see, because Subaru has obviously shown some very admirable personality traits, but this constant falling back on being all glib and just off the cuff and sarcastic and just rude and not really thinking things through too much. At this point, with all the hell that he's been through, I'm starting to get annoyed by it. I'm starting to sort of say, okay, something's got to give, because there's just no way that you can have gone through all of that and still not learned anything from it. You know, it just, no, like there's just got to be more development. And this, I think, probably more than anything else, gives that a push. I think that this book is a really, in terms of when we're talking about the start of an arc, I think this book did a really great job of not only setting up where the story's going, but also setting up where the characters are going. And, you know, as we always talk, like, I mean, you know that I like to write as well, and I've written some stuff, and so I'm always looking at writing advice and things that writers talk about, and they always talk about the whole idea of having characters drive your narrative. And that is what I really, I think, enjoyed about this volume, is that it really was the characters that were driving the narrative. The events that were happening really were being driven by the characters. And the characters, there was consequences to their actions, and there are fallout and outcomes of it that I think are going to be really big vehicles for change in terms of the characters, and not just for Subaru, but for a couple of people. You know, it's good because it's working on all sorts of levels. It isn't just the main character. It isn't even just the main character and sort of the main girl like Amelia. It kind of filters down a bit. And to me, that's just increasing the depth of this series even more. I'm a big fan of ReZero so far. In fact, I have to admit, like, after finishing this volume, it's very, very hard not to either watch the anime all the way through or even just take a look at some spoiler-filled synopses for the next couple of books, because the next volume doesn't come out until October, which seems like a very, very long time from now. And I just looked at it. Volume 6 is then scheduled for February. So we're getting these basically like every 4 months, and that just, it doesn't seem fast enough. That said, I did notice in this volume that there seemed to be more typos there, and like not like typos, but you know, extra words added in, or words missing, and it was usually like little small words, like just the, you know, to, like to, or even an like an a, like there was just like little connecting words that just make a sentence flow. Sometimes they were duplicated in weird ways. Sometimes they were omitted. Sometimes things should have been pluralized and they weren't. Sometimes it was a little weird who something was being attributed to just because of how the wordings were put in there. It was a little disconcerting, and it was actually, I would say, more evident in this volume than what I can recall in definitely volume number 3. So maybe I shouldn't complain that they're taking 4 months if it means they're gonna take their time and do it right. I don't know. But I really want to know where the story goes. I am really, really hooked. This is definitely one of those series that when I put down a volume, I really want to know what happens next. It's not like oh, that was cool, and, you know, I'll see what happens next. No, like I am like, I wish I could just go to the bookstore and buy all the volumes. All the volumes. I mean, we're having to wait until February just to get volume 6. And meanwhile, in Japan this month, they're releasing volume 13. So they have more than 3 times the amount of ReZero to read than we do. And that's not even including the 2 EX novels, one of which is coming out in November here. Yen Press is, or Yenon is adapting that. There's 2 volumes of that so far. But that's also then 2 side story volumes as well. So they've got 13 main volumes, plus they have 4 other sort of side books as well, which God only knows how long it's going to take us even just to get to caught up to that 13 volumes. I mean, if somebody wants to do the math of 4 months per volume, feel free. I mean, it's a year for every 3 books, right? So to get to volume 13, that's like another, 9? So that's 3 years? And how far will they be ahead of us then? Anyway, I have gone off on a bit of a tangent. So ReZero, volume number 4, really liked this book. Like I said, Subaru's character, a little bit annoying, started to grate on my nerves, but definitely throughout the book, payoffs for that. And definitely situations and developments that I think could result in some very interesting direction for his character. I will admit, as much as I love this series, I will probably be a little pissed off if we get to volume 5 and Subaru has not learned a damn thing. I will be upset. I'm just going to say that right here, right now. So those are my final thoughts on ReZero volume number 4. If you want to pick up your own copy, I do have a link to Amazon in the description. Anything you buy after clicking on that link, it adds a couple of pennies to the channel so I can buy even more light novels to review for all of you. Speaking of more light novels to review, my next review is going to be on Sound Euphonium. I have to do a little bit of research, and I will say for certain in the next video, but as far as I understand it, this is like a standalone volume. Like there are, I think somebody said 3 novels, but Yen has only licensed this first one. I will double check that and let you know for sure in the video. But nonetheless, I'm looking forward to reading it. I don't know if I've told any of you this. I can't remember whether I mentioned it in my Q&A video. I actually went to university for music. I was in the School of the Arts in high school for music. So this one kind of hits close to home for me. So I'm very interested to see what this one is like, and that will be my next review. So if you love light novels and you're brand new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe so you can check out all of my future light novel reviews, including future volumes of ReZero, as well as my next review on Sound Euphonium. Thank you all so much for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.